Hello, this is Rimstalker with another video on planetary interaction. Today we're going to talk about doing our PI just a little bit differently than we have in the past. In the past, we set up planets to harvest from en masse and then took the harvested materials to another location, if you will, another planet, or gave it to another player and had them converted in, from raw materials up to P1. So from aqueous fluids to water, or base metals to reactive metals, etc. Today we're going to set up a planet where we harvest those materials and convert those materials right there on the same planet. Now, the question may be, why are we doing it this way? We're doing it this way because we're in a section of space that we're having to pay tax on at the POCOs of the planets that we're using. So, because of that, it just makes more sense. We'll go ahead and harvest it and convert it right there. This system has some of the lowest tax rates anywhere, and so we have selected it. There are a couple of systems near it that are also very good, but we'll just be working in Kesheru today. Now, I've already got my planet picked out here. I already have a command center on it. We'll be doing this storm one that's highlighted right here. So we're going to double click it. We're going to bring it up, and of course there's a little command center. First thing we're going to do is upgrade. It's the first thing you always do, and you always want to upgrade as much as you can. I think I've gone over that in the past, but always upgrade as much as you can. And then, of course, every time you do anything, click Submit. Now, we're going to be looking for base metals on this planet here. And you can see there's a good selection of base metals. I've already got my slider up here at the top set for a good amount, but nothing crazy. So I'm just going to look real quick, pull back a little bit, and see where I really want to put this down. Now we're only going to, you can tell by the numbers over here, we're only going to put essentially one extractor down. And why is that? Well, we're going to do that because, let's see if we can get a good area right here. Because we're going to put this extractor here and a converter right next to it. There will be leftover power usage, and that is by design. So I've got that, and I just go ahead and I kind of put it all together here. I give myself a little bit of leeway on storage space, because as anybody knows, if you're not careful with PI, you can wind up with so much material going in that it winds up kind of falling by the wayside and you're not getting anything done. You're losing half your material. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to kind of set it all up. Now, I set all my planets up the exact same way, exact same format, everything. And I've had a couple people say why. Number one, it's easy. It's way easier to do it where they're all the same than trying to make a different pretty little design every single time. And when they're all the same, as you can see, I have 6, and if you have multiple characters doing it, you can wind up real easily with 18, 24, 30, whatever, however many planets total you have between all your characters. It gets real old trying to figure out where you put the stuff, on this one. So we've got the extractor. We'll go ahead and link it all up right here. And just go ahead and get this show on the road right here. So that's all ready. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and plant these. And that's for, we're looking for base metals. We're going to do a 24-hour cycle time, which is my preferred time for those who've done this before. We're going to go ahead, we got that. We'll go ahead and click install on all of these, because we want the maximum amount we can get coming in to this location. Go ahead, I like to kind of, one of those there. that type of thing right there. You know, yes, you can be getting it as organized as you want at this point, or not. I try to get it all so that I get the maximum return on some of this. Now, the nice thing is that there'll be plenty of room day to day to rearrange and readjust these little extractor heads without having to move the whole mess anywhere else on the planet. In probably a week or two, I'll go ahead and put that one over here. We'll need to do that somewhere else. I'm looking at this, I'm getting 50 per hour on the program output. That's pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to install and submit. So it has begun harvesting. Now we're going to create the route and we're going to funnel it all down into that first storage bin. Why? Routing it all down here, this is a quick way to check. I'll come back to that too. But routing it from your extractor to a storage bin before it ever hits a processor almost guarantees that you will not have any waste from your extractor heads. If you don't do that and try to route it straight to the processor, you will see real quickly that you've got stuff dripping all over the place. I recommend that people try it once, going straight to it, and then try it with a storage bin in between. You'll find that you were really wasting a lot of it by having it go straight to a processor. Now, one of the things to look at right here, we'll go back to this. The current cycle output is 17,201 units. This processor, and this is base metals, we're going to convert it to reactive metals. Will take 3,000 units and it outputs 20. We're going to go ahead and route that. Create route. We're going to route it down to that storage facility. And we'll go ahead and click submit. So just for a quick little review, 17,201 units, they'll go right into the storage unit here. And then from there, when we get some, it'll take, 15 minutes is our cycle, current cycle. This will only consume 3,000 of those units, thereby outputting 20 reactive metals down here. So we're going to have, if we're not careful, a whole bunch extra here and not much going through there. So let's go ahead and add a few more processors. We're going to add 4 more. Now this is all kind of just ballpark type stuff. We're not going to get into the spreadsheet versions of this or the, let me whip out my calculator. We're just going to kind of eyeball it, like I said, with the amounts. The secret to having your PI work well is you always need a little bit extra waiting in the wings that you're not using. So from raw materials to this first, from base metals to reactive metals, we always want to have a little left over in the base metals storage bin, if you will. Why? With supply chain mechanics, if you don't have a little extra waiting for you and you run out, that outage, if you will kind of reverberate in a shockwave form all the way up the supply chain. So now you don't have enough to run your processors. In turn, you're not going to have enough going into your secondary storage bin where the reactive metals are done. In turn, you'll be short on the next phase where you're making whatever you're making, so and so all the way up. So you always want to have just a little bit extra. Now we've got all our processors here. We're going to go ahead and link all them up. And I'll show you a couple things that I've come up with or noticed that makes this all a little bit easier. So I've got all these links going here. Go ahead and submit. We're going to go ahead and click this. You know, we'll click our schematic. We're going to reactive metals. And if you double click react, you know, whatever you're going to click in here. I didn't double click it, but that's okay. The double click that, we're going to double click this, not routed. And we're going to double click this, where we want it to go. See? Go ahead and open that up again. Click there. Reactive metals. Click the route. Double click the route. Double click the storage bin. Submit. Now you don't have to click submit each time, but like I said, there's nothing worse than setting it all up or thinking you had, clicking out of the window saying, yeah, it's all good, and rolling off and you didn't set any of it up. It didn't go through. So what we're waiting on now is enough to get into this first storage bin to route it. So that's all we're waiting on right here. Now, some of you might find that, well, actually you're still having a large amount of your raw material, if you will, in your first storage bin after a day of this processing. That can happen. So what do? Because we have the extra space, we'll just add another processor. Or you may find that, man, 5 is too many. I'm gobbling it up so fast that it's, you know, I'm having to wait each time for it. If that's happening, get rid of one of the processors. You know, like I said, we're just kind of eyeballing it. We're not using spreadsheets or whatever. Okay, so we've got that going. We'll check this. We've got about 9 minutes left until there's actually something in there. So we're going to hang out and do this. Now, if you want to make sure that all of your processors are hereby routed correctly to your storage bin right there, you can go over each one of them and check that. If you want to do it fast, just click on the storage bin. It will show you all 5 of them are, you know, routed correctly. Now, when we route from, you notice from the extractor to the first storage bin, they're connected. You can see the link. They kind of highlight each other. When we get something into the first storage bin, we will route it all down into here, and the same thing will happen as clicking on this. We'll click on this, and all those guys light up. And then, of course, well, you'll see. But that's pretty much how that goes. So, one of the things to also keep in mind is we've got storage bin here that holds 12,000 units of whatever it is. Same thing with this one. The launch pad, as you may remember, only holds 10,000. So when you get above 10,000 in this storage unit right here and route it down to there, you know, it will take a while. Now this is going from a conversion, like I said before, of for every 3,000 raw material pieces you've got units here, 20 or so will come out of each one of these and plop down in here. In doing it this way, we save ourselves a lot of time back and forth. You won't be pulling from your planets every day or every other day to get this type of thing done. It will essentially go all in there and, you know, be converted down. Of course, it'll become very small. And then essentially you have between this last storage bin and the launch pad, you have 22,000 M3 or whatever of storage. That's pretty nice. So there's not a lot of chance of overflow if you have half a brain and check it, you know, make sure that it, you know, nothing's overflowing. It will overflow if you let it, but you'll be okay better much this way. Now, one of the things that I'm doing here is with this, and we'll go ahead and just see that real quick. Now it's not going to let us. We had a lot of, let me see if I can make it show back up here. put another one right here. Oh. Okay, we have a little spread here, if you will, up on the power. Of course, the CPU is really good, but we have a little bit of a leftover area here. Why? We did this on purpose. We'll go ahead and cancel that. Eventually, your little areas that you're harvesting from are going to go away. Eventually, they'll hit a point where it's kind of a pain in the ass more than anything else to leave your extractor heads there because they're not getting hardly anything. When that happens, you'll want to take, and let's say you might want to move your extractor head, get rid of that one up there, and move the extractor head down to, let's say, just arbitrarily, right here or something. In doing that, then all you'll want to do is run a route from the extractor head to that first storage bin. This will give you the opportunity, if you will, to leave all your processing in place and just, move around as you feel like. It'll help hold down on your costs. It just makes it easier. Then it's just a matter of, kill that there, move it here, route it, the whole 9 yards. It's not that, it won't be the nightmare that, maybe not nightmare, but it won't be a problem to set up that sometimes it can be from the ground up. So that's like that. Now, how do you know when to change it? Well, we're bringing in 50 per hour. We're bringing in 51,018, 51,018 units an hour. That's pretty good. It's not the greatest, but it is pretty good. I won't move my, the whole extractor itself. Close out of this. I won't move this whole extractor until that, 51,000 winds up being about 30,000. So a little bit less than half. At 30,000, all these little processors are going to be struggling. So rather than do that at, or a little bit, maybe 31,000 or something like that, maybe I'll just move them all up to here or something like that. So move the extractor head. So it's something to keep an eye on. But like I said, with the amount of space in these, we should be able to adjust this, Probably not have to do it every day. I mean, something that starts off 51,000 today, maybe tomorrow it's 50, I'll leave it there. Everything in the same place, just restart it back up, install, done. And come back the day after that. There's no point in hurrying with this. So don't think you're in a big hurry to do something. You're not. It's PI. It's just good side money. So we've got 3 minutes left. So you'll see at the end of that, a little bit of, we'll go down in here and we'll just go ahead and route it all real quickly, and then you're done with it. Like I said, you may find that tomorrow you have a lot more, or maybe even in 6 or 12 hours or something like that, you may find that you have a lot more in your, first storage bin than you had expected, and maybe only a little bit down here. In a situation like that, you will have to add a processor or two. I wouldn't get carried away and add 14 processors or something silly like that. There's no point in doing that because it's not a rush. It's not like you've gotten, 4 million M3 of raw material and you need to harvest it all by tomorrow. Or not harvest it, but you need to process it into its, P1 step tomorrow. It's not like that. We're just doing this just a little bit at a time, and it'll work out better. Now, when we're done with this, we'll look at some of these others over here, like whatever. And we'll see how they're doing. I expect probably out of this area that these are in, I expect to not have to move them. The extractor, head itself, or the extractor unit, and any of the, the heads, probably move them every other day. But the unit itself, I don't anticipate having to move it for probably a week or two. You know, the heads, yes. The unit itself, no. And that just that makes it a good smooth harvest. And of course, when this the second unit has filled or getting close to it, I'll move it down there and do a pickup. And we're almost ready. Okay. And there we got our little tiny bit. So we're not really concerned with the volume. It's the amount we're interested in. 17,201. 3,000 per unit. That'll give us an extra 2,000. 2,201. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to double click that. And we're going to click that. And we're just going to go through, double click on the, oops. I didn't like that. We'll just go through. And you'll notice that each time we do it, see, now we're at 5,201. And now there's just a little tiny bit left over. And we're going to go ahead and click submit. It may look like we're out, or that it doesn't have enough. That's not correct. This extractor runs every 15 minutes. It pulls harvestable material every 15 minutes. These processors take 30 minutes for a half cycle. Output units per cycle is 20 units. Output per hour works out to be about 15.2. Yeah. So there you go. So it'll take essentially about an hour to get a full, load go through. So this will run essentially 3-4 times for this to be full. As long as it delivers that amount each time to one of these, everything is good. It all works. Notice as I click on each one, where it takes it from, and where it spits it, where it inputs from, and where it outputs to, is all highlighted. Always make sure that all your stuff is routed. The moment it's not routed, it's a bad day. But there you go. That's pretty much it. Oh, let's check one of these from yesterday. Now this one's set at 10. This one we've just done. So there's 10 total units here. Well, including the command center. There's 9 total units here and 1 command center. As you can see, I've gone through and I've had to add a little extra processing power to these other ones. My computer is slow. Now this one, I set up a little bit differently, playing around with it. I've got all that stuff going. And as you can see, I had a little bit more left over on my processing than what I felt that I should. So I stuck an extra processor out there. Let's see over here. Let's see here. There we go. This one's more like it. I think it's time to reboot this computer. As you can see, once again, there's a little bit extra, more so than I had anticipated there to be. So I stuck an extra processor on there. And that's just the way it is. So some of these, You will have some that right off the bat, you can tell for a fact, are going to need some. And I knew that they would. Look at all that stuff that I brought in, all the aqueous fluids. And so I stuck, you know, an extra 3 on there. We'll see what it looks like tomorrow. So now, one of the things that you can do here is, let me jump back and do this one first. So this was set up yesterday. There is time to depletion, 1 hour, 9 minutes, 55 seconds. What I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm going to stop the program. Notice it's at 41,133 units. We got 42,842. I don't see a reason really. Those look all really good. To fool with moving the heads around. Probably tomorrow I'll move them around. $18,184. You know, I've got my 5 heads that I started off with, and then the extra one, the 6th. We'll take a look at it. See, there's still some people will say, "Oh, but you know you've got less coming in, so you need to get rid of a processor." Incorrect. This storage bin, while not being full, still has quite a bit in there. So is there less going in today than there was yesterday? Yes, there is. But because there's a little bit extra from yesterday, if you will, we're all good. So we'll just go around and check all these little guys here. And this is something it actually takes longer to tell you about than it does to do. Yeah, I'm going to have to reboot after this. So 2 hours, 5 minutes. Yeah, we'll go ahead and be done with it. And same thing. It's got a little extra there. It's all good. And this is something that you can just kind of do. The nice thing about PI, once your planet has a command center on there and you've upgraded it, you can just kind of do your PI and run your mouth on TeamSpeak or whatever. You don't, it's not like you really have to do anything after that. This is a good one. 67,000 still. You can see it's time to depletion is getting set back up. Nice thing is that because we just set that one planet up, we're getting the rest of these guys. Everybody will be at the same time tomorrow, pretty much, and we'll just go ahead and we'll restart them all tomorrow. And like I said, when we need to, we'll move the whole extractor units and reposition the heads and all that stuff, and that shouldn't be for some time coming. Alrighty, thanks a lot.